Welcome again. By the end of this challenge, you will have a roadmap to how to appeal successfully for a denied medical claim. And I'm going to go over also for prescriptions as well. And most of this material you can use for any scenario when you've been denied for any type of medical treatment, medical bill payments. And so let's go ahead and get started. I know it's late, but I want you, if you cannot catch this live, which we've already said that, you may be catching this on the replay. There will be homework and rewards and prizes for those that participate in that. And so I want to go ahead and get started with some slides. I'll be using some slides for our visual learners, but no worries. If you have any questions, you can always put them in the chat. If you're catching this on the replay, you can still put them in the chat. You can email me at info@deannacarrollsmith.com, or you can DM me any way you choose, because I know a lot of times the information when it comes to our healthcare is private. So I just want to encourage you guys. I know a lot of times it's frustrating and you feel like you're stuck and you don't know what to do when it comes to just understanding everything, especially when faced with the denial. And so that is what this is about. I want to make awareness and I want to help anyone and everyone who is ever in these situations. And so I'm going to go ahead and share my first set of slides. And I'd like to tell a good story with it. So let's see here. Bear with me here. Okay. Where is my, that's not it. Okay. We're going to start from the very beginning. Should have this ready for you guys, slideshow. Okay. So once again, welcome. So welcome to day one to get your denied medical claims approved. This is a 3-day challenge. Today, we're going to start at 8 p.m. Thank you for your patience with the technical difficulty. Tomorrow, we will start at 8:30. I have a class I'm teaching. So at 8:30, we'll start tomorrow, but we'll pick up again at 8 o'clock on Thursday night, okay? So what is appealing? And you're like, what is this big pot roast in front of me? And that's what that is pot roast. And so what is appealing? Appealing is simply asking your insurance to reconsider the denied decision. It's asking them, it's appealing to them and providing them probably most likely with more information or why this should be covered, but it's asking them to reconsider. And so I put this here because this always reminds me of you're like, how does pot roast remind you of asking and the importance of asking? I'm glad you asked. So I'm going to give this story. There was this family in this small town, and they were known for their delicious pot roast. They were always cooking it. They were cooking it at church conventions or church gatherings, at people's houses. They were doing it at different fairs, and actually they sold it too as a business. And so one day there was this young girl, and she came up to one of the adult children, and she was just like, "Oh my gosh, this pot roast is so good. What do you put in it? And may I have the recipe?" She asked, right? And so sure enough, the older granddaughter was like, "You know what, I'll share it with you. It's no big deal. You're going to take your pot roast first. First thing you're going to do is you're going to take that pot roast and you're going to cut that pot roast in half." And she said, "Then you're going to preheat your oven to 350 degrees. You're going to put a little onion powder and salt, pepper, garlic powder, and you're going to rub that onto the pot roast, and then you're going to cook it for 8 hours. Just like, "That's it?" And she was like, "Yeah, that's it." "Well, I have a question," the little girl said. And she said, "Yeah." And she said, "Well, why do you cut the pot roast in half?" And the adult granddaughter was like, "I have no idea." So she asked her sister, she asked her mom. She had no idea why they've been cutting this pot roast for years and years in half. So she said, "I'm going to ask my grandmother, And she went to go visit her grandmother, who was in a neighboring town. And she said, Grandma Joe, why do we cut the pot roast in half?" And she said, "Oh, Mary," and which was the older granddaughter's name, which I felt to let you know. She said, "We cut it in half because back then we had small ovens." Okay. And so I say that because here we are, sometimes we just do things without asking. We accept the denial because we don't think there's anything that we can do. We accept different things, especially with our health insurance. When we go to the doctor, we don't think there's any options. And it's always important to ask. And in this case, with appealing, when you ask, you can get access to care if you've been denied. You can change the amount of the change the cost of the medication possibly, or the treatment, if you have been denied, like in my case. So let me stop sharing for a moment. So when I give you a little bit background of how I got started appealing. So my daughter, when she was born, she was born on Christmas Day. I like to say that. My husband's like, why do you tell people that part? Because it's a special day for us. But anyhow, so she was born on Christmas Day. And so shortly after I gave birth to her, I received in the mail what's called an EOB. I'm using an acronym. I'm going to try to stop saying that, but it's called an explanation of benefit statement. And what that is when it's what you receive from your health insurance is a breakdown of what they covered, what you're responsible for. And when I got the EOB, which will say it's not a bill, it's just like, hey, this is what we covered. This is what we're not going to cover. And sometimes we feel like, oh goodness, but mine was extremely high. It was like $20,000. So I immediately asked the insurance. I said, what's going on here? I wasn't expecting this bill to be this high. And she said, well, and thank God for the wonderful representative I had on the phone. She said, well, we only pay, or your insurance plan only pays for 2 days of hospitalization after giving birth. You didn't have a C-section or anything, so you stayed 3 days. And so, you have to pay for the third day for the care for me and my daughter. And so I was like, are you serious? And I said, and I told her what happened. And so, she said, well, you can just put all of that information in an appeal. You can appeal and put that in there. And sure enough, they turned the decision around. And so that's what I want to encourage everyone to do is, if you're not aware you can do that, providing and asking your insurance to appeal, especially, if you have a high bill. It is frustrating, and it's nothing like having to go with the financial strain of a medical bill. The option of appealing is definitely something you can do, especially if the appealing, if you're being denied and you can't even get the care. In my case, I had the care, but then I received a bill later on that, I can't tell if I'm looking at the right place. I received a bill later on that it wasn't covered. And that just blows my mind, right? So, and with me being a new mom and everything, that was the last thing I wanted to think about, was paying for this huge bill. So I want to encourage you to take, steps in appealing. I have, I always say my health in my hand. And what I want to encourage you to do is be a participant in your health. Have you ever noticed with your insurance card, or most, at least what I've seen lately, because everyone's is different, is that your card says participant ID. It says member ID. It doesn't say, so what is a member? What is a participant? And are you acting as a member or a participant? And so when you are a participant and a member of anything, you're involved, what's going on. And I knew that healthcare and our whole healthcare industry can be so complicated and frustrating, but I just want to share with you and take away that, all the things that come with the frustration of that, and help that there are options, and how even appealing can lead to you actually receiving a free med. We'll talk about that later. But appealing is a great opportunity for you to have access to care. So I want to go ahead and on with our slideshow here. Let's see here. So let's go back to our little ovens here. Okay. Why should you appeal? So like I've already said, and I think I put that on the next slide. I love this little part. Like, why should you appeal? Is it important to appeal? Well, one thing is, like I said earlier, if you're not appealing for an uncovered healthcare cost, you're stuck with a large bill. That's stressful. It's your money, your health. It's a lost opportunity of care. And You don't want to leave any money or your health or money on the table. That's how I felt. If there's money on the table to be had, why not let it be yours? You pay into your health insurance every month. And then something happens and then you're denied. And then you don't understand why you're denied. Or maybe you thought it was covered and you got denied. And so what I want you to know is take the steps, and I want to definitely walk you through that. My mission is to spread this to as many people as I can, help them understand it. And it's not as bad as what you may think it is. It is a process, but I want to simplify that for you. Okay. If you are in doubt, I wanted to also provide you with some, this is my news clippings of some articles. I personally appeal for a pharmacy. And that's what I'm saying, the pharmacy is even smart, so we appeal on behalf of our providers to help the patients, one, get access to the treatment when it's denied, right? And have, we're doing it before they have the care. So sometimes they're on some samples and the samples run out. And in the meantime, we're trying to get the insurance to pay for it. And one of the things that happens that when is denied, we appeal. So that's what I do. And so these numbers, I will say, are really, really true to what I do. I highlighted some of the things. Not appealing is a lost opportunity. The findings show that consumers can get coverage for the care they need after appealing. One of my favorite ones on this is that beneficiaries and providers, not just us, we rarely appeal. And I don't know why. Maybe we don't know. Maybe we think it's a long process. Maybe we don't think we're going to get approved. Maybe we don't have time. Maybe we just don't know how to get going, right? But when we appeal, the number stats for this particular study show 2% of the denials. Okay, so it's that only 2% of people were appealing the denials, but 75% of denials were overturned. That's a huge number, right? Another one said in 2017, 121 major health insurances denied a total of more than 42 million claims. However, when consumers appealed, which was a low number, 0.5% of them appealed, their numbers were directly to that happens in few. It was this particular one I wanted to know is that few people again once are appealing between us as the insurers and the providers. And last, in fact, it's often very worthwhile to appeal. Once again, stats are 39 to 59% in this study. This one's a little bit older, but the numbers seem the same. So I've been personally keeping up with my stats at work as well, just to see, where do I land? And I know every insurance is different. Every denial was different. So we'll go over that and how to face those different denials. And my numbers are about at the 50 to 60%, but it changes every month depending on the denial reason. And so the numbers aren't bad, especially if you're stuck with a big bill. So I wanted to go over that. So this is step one. I know we're doing good on time. So step one is why. It's going to be a lot of questions. Everything's questions. Everything's asking. I tell my kids, you have not because you ask not. So step one is asking. First, we already know what. The first question is what? You've been denied. The second step is why. Why were you denied? Specifically, why you were denied. I cannot tell you how important it is to know the reason why you were denied. Because when you write the letter of appeal, I'm going to stop the slides for a second. When you write that letter of appeal, you want to address the denial reason. Number one thing is when my team will give me hey, Deanna, we need this letter. The doctor would like to appeal. One thing I always tell them is, gotta get the denial letter. The insurance company almost always provides you with a denial letter if something was denied and they're not paying for it. I like to see the denial reason. I don't want to know half of the denial reason. I want to know the full thing. So I like to see it in writing. If you can't get the denial reason, you can always call and ask, but I would make sure that you always get the denial reason. And the second part, step two, is when you write your letter of appeal, if that is what needs to be done. And then we'll talk about that, because not every denial needs an appeal. Okay, so just remember that not every denial needs an appeal. So if there is a denial, what you want to first do is figure out why it wasn't covered, right? Why, our big question. And then my second question is, what can I do for it to be covered, right? So when I say you want to ask, every denial doesn't need an appeal, because they could say, oh, well, we're waiting from something from your doctor, right? And your doctor may be getting a denial on his end, his or her end as well. And so they may be providing what needs to be done. So let me give you an example. They maybe the certain treatment requires labs to be done, right? And so they've denied the claim. You receive something saying, hey, this is denied. And then you call and you find out why. They're like, well, we needed labs. In the meantime, the doctor is getting denied the office visit too. So this is just an example. So guess what? The doctor wants to get paid. And so they, whatever that may be needed, in this case was the labs, they send the labs over. Okay. So you may, I don't want you to say, oh, it's denied. Let's appeal. Make sure that is what is needed. And so we'll focus on the rest of this challenge on assuming that you have contacted the insurance and the next step is to appeal. Okay. And so we are now at appealing for the uncovered or denied medical claim, bill, treatment, prescription, hospitalization, surgery, whatever it may be. We're now at the appeal status is what we're going to talk about. Okay. So number one, why did it get denied? I want to go a little bit further in that. I have seen where people have written an appeal letter and they're like, well, my patient needs it because of this, this, and this. Well, the denial letter said we just needed the weight. And so we're over here, making a case for why you need to be on it, but they just needed the weight. So that's why I always say, make sure you know the denial reason. And in your appeal, make sure you speak to the denial. It's as simple as that. And so that is the first question. Why? What? We've been denied. Why have we been denied? And the next question is, what can you do for it to be covered? They say it needs an appeal, then we're going to appeal. The next question I like to ask is, what, when, how? So every insurance is different on their protocol or their process of appealing. So you want to double check, does it need to be, is it a letter they need? Does it need to be faxed? Does it need to be mailed in? Does it need to be uploaded in their portal system, right? When you call, which is one way of trying to figure out, knowing the process of what needs to be done with that appeal, that's the question you want to ask. Now, when you have been denied via, like my case, let's go back to my situation with the denial of the hospitalization. I received in the mail, like I said, an EOB, and I want to share with you what an EOB looks like. Now, an EOB will always say on it, this is not a bill. And so I always like to say, if it says this is not a bill, that's your EOB. Okay, let's see here. Let's go out of here. And we're going to go down to, oh goodness, I'll have to find it here. One moment here. I don't think you can see my screen, but that's okay. Okay, we're going to share it from here. Can you see the screen? I don't think you can. So I'm going to click on here. I'm going to go to stop sharing. Thank you for your patience. Okay. So I'm going to stop sharing. Oh, I'm not sharing, actually. That would be the problem. Okay, let me find the document I want you guys to see. Here it is. Okay. All right, here we go. There are, like I said, everyone's insurance looks different. And I'm going to give you an example of some EOBs. All right. This was not the best scan, guys. Let's see. Not the best scan either. Let's see here. That's not the one I wanted to show you. All right, give me one moment. Make that small. Okay, there's page 2. Open what system viewer? Open what system viewer? For some reason, guys, the one I wanted to show you is not showing up. Oh, goodness. One moment again. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and go to the right one. Technology. Okay. Go to my email where I know it is, where it's at there. Okay, we're going to do this one. Okay, going back to sharing my screen. Thank you for your patience here. Okay. This is not a great copy. I do apologize. So this is an explanation of benefit statement. I'm going to show you the 2 parts. This is the front part where it says this is explanation of benefits. This is how I found out that my insurance did not cover a day of the hospital visit. It says this is not a bill. So basically it's telling me, hey, it's not a bill, but we're going to tell you how we broke this down. This is what you went in for, or what, what costs. This is what we're going to pay for. This is what we're not going to pay for. And this is what what your amount is. After that happens, what happens is let me go to the next one here. The breakdown here. Still wrong one. Come on, work for me. All of these are not the right one. Okay, here we are, page 2. So page 2 here, thank you for your patience again. So on page 2, as you can see, this is what they charge me for. This is always important. We don't have anything significant on this page, but here that $20 went to a deductible, and the star here for I put is what is my responsibility? $20 is my responsibility, right? Now, a lot of times, so that's what you always want to pay attention to. Like it says the total charge, it looks like they covered it, but it went towards a deductible. This is what I'm expecting from a bill. So your EOB is not a bill like it says, but it's telling you that this person here or whoever billed it, which was Cigna here, this is your portion that you need to pay. So those are the 3 things I always want you to look at. The other thing I want to show you when it comes to your EOB is, I'm so sorry, guys. I thought I had it together here. Is the back of that EOB, which goes over your process of how to get started with appealing. And if I can find it, downloads, there it is. Okay, so this is the back of my specific EOB, and it goes over the appeal process. So I wanted to show this to you so you'll know that this is how you get started. I'll go over tomorrow a little bit about these different elements, but I wanted to let you know that you always have the opportunity to appeal. It is always on your EOB, or it's always on any type of denial that your insurance gives you. I'm going to go over one more for my prescription coverage one I had. Bad copy, I'm sorry. So I was, and I still am, this was a medication that my doctor wrote for acne. My insurance would not cover it. And so I got in the letter, in the mail, the denial letter. This is what's considered a denial letter. It's saying, based on the information provided, we're unable to provide the medication. They give the reason why. In this case, it's medication, and they're saying we cover all of these. We do not cover this one. And so in this case, if my doctor or myself wanted to really stay on this one, on the back of this particular paper was what I can do if I wanted to appeal. She probably says that in here too, that you can appeal for why I need to use this one versus any of those. Now, a time when it comes to prescriptions, in any case, let me give you an example of that. I had a client, she was on a diabetic medication. That medication was an injectable. She'd been using it for a while. And what happened was her insurance changed the formulary and they were no longer covering it. So she was stuck with not being able to use the medication that had been working for her. What we did was we appealed. She was awesome. She took the steps that we talked about. She called her insurance and her insurance said, well, you need to try, like in my letter, this medication here first. Well, guess what? She had already tried that medication first. And so all we had to do was appeal because they didn't want to just take our word for it. But we'd appealed, said we tried that medication already and it was covered. So it is very different with insurance. I mean, with medication sometimes because of the reasons. There's so many reasons, guys, why your insurance can reject or not pay for something. And that's why step one is always to figure out why your insurance is not covering that particular or has denied your claim. Okay. And so I want to close today with that. I know it's a lot. I did have a little giveaway. I know a couple people are on live. If you want to participate, don't go away just because I'm calling you out. But I talked about EOB, and the first person, the prize giveaway is going to be, I always promote this guy. It's called My Health in My Hand. Remember, we just talked about knowing your health, knowing what being a CEO, who is the CEO of your health, right? We're going from patient to participant, right? And so that requires us knowing the medications. This lady, like I said, she knew her history. She knew what she had tried. She knew what she had tried in the past. And that made us super successful in writing the appeal. And so this book I want to give away, if you can, and the first person in the chat can tell me, what does an EOB, I can't see the chat. What does an EOB stand for? If you can tell me what an EOB, the letters EOB stands for, prize giveaway. All right. And so first person that can do that, I will make sure I send this to you. All right. So I hope everyone has a great night. Oh, lastly, I want to make sure that I give you homework. This is a challenge, right? So we want to make sure we're giving homework. And so your homework is locate an EOB, which we've already said what it is. If you can put what it is in the chat, you can go ahead and get the prize. But locate an EOB, your own personal EOB for someone else in your family. If you don't have one, you usually, ever been to the doctor